go. And good morning. First home buyers, you may think that if you've got $25,000 in your bank account that you cannot buy a property on the Northern Beaches are one better, and we're going to test that theory this morning. Stay tuned. We're with mortgage broker expert Zac from Shore Financial and Billy, the first home buyer. Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Good morning. That's the signs of a first-time buyer many generations ago.
We were just talking off here about our hairlines that we don't care about, but we actually do. But we don't. But we do. But anyway, that's another topic for another time.
That's it. Good morning.
Now,
How are you?
Now, Zac, you're from Shore Financial. You're out there. You're a Guru Swami mortgage broker in DY, and you're seeing activity at the lower end price range out there. Please explain.
Please explain. Well, that's exactly what's happening. Everyone's there's a lot of people coming out of the woodwork. I think there's a bit more confidence in wanting to know what you can borrow, therefore what you can buy at the moment, and the demographic of young and hungry first home buyers, it keeps getting more exciting, I guess. There's 18, 19, 21, up to 25-year-olds, reaching out that are wanting to know what their capacity is, and they might be on between $50,000 and $80,000 up to $125,000, and it obviously varies what they can buy for, obviously with their deposit as well. But income
Now,
equals borrowing capacity, to put it simply.
we're going to play a game this morning where you've got to give one sentence answers, and Billy and I are going to throw 12 questions each at you sequentially. Are you ready for it?
Hit me.
First home buyer extravaganza. Billy, what's your first question?
How much does a first-home buyer need to earn to borrow $500,000?
Around 110,000.
Far out. That's a lot of money.
So to borrow 500, to borrow 550, that sort of reaches the cap of what the first home buyer grant offers, or the first home buyer guarantee. So to be clear, the national scheme allows you to buy with a 5% deposit.
Yep.
If you're buying a $600,000 property.
Yep.
That means that, at a minimum, you'll do
one sentence. You got one sentence at this. You went way over.
It sort of rolls into the whole lot. Okay, next question. Go.
So 110,000.
Can a first home buyer rent out their property
After they've lived in it for a period of 12 months.
Within 12
Really?
months. If I buy for $550,000 and I rent it out and it's getting $500 a week, hopefully that's easy maths for you. How much will my mortgage be after it's rented out? Rough numbers.
How much would your mortgage be after you've rented it out?
net? What are your net repayments?
That's a bit of a
sentence.
That's a question up to you. How much of the rent are you putting into the mortgage?
$500 a week rent.
And so what
20,
do you want to pay?
25K.
Mortgage sooner.
Yep. So you got $500 a week rent.
Get out your calculator for this one.
Do you want to calculate it?
Also, you're going to have another $25K a year
coming
in mortgage repayment, in income.
Yep.
So you're going to take another $25,000 off your mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
So what's...
No. What's the repayment?
Yeah. Repayments minus rent.
The repayments on a $500,000 mortgage, say at 6.04%, they'd be around $3,000 a month.
Okay.
And then you've got how much?
So
You're going to have
minus
3,000 times that divided by your weeks. Let's say it's about 625 a week.
with your rent coming off that, could be around 500 a week. So you're not far off. So you're
Couple
topping
hundred
up.
a week. So the answer, couple hundred a week. Whose is the next question? Mine or you, Billy?
You.
When will rates come down for first home buyers?
Well, I guess when they come down for everyone, not just first home buyers. There's a bit of a lag for the banks to pass on any rate movements, say around 2 to 3 months from when the RBA moves. The RBA might move as soon as November, but it's more likely between February and May next year, which will be the first RBA meeting from February 2025.
Bang. What's the most popular first home buyer grants at the moment?
Well, a lot of people are going for the first home buyer guarantee because you look at the length of time on average to save a deposit versus what you need to get into the property market. If you've already got properties, you would generally need a 20% deposit to get a decent rate, but the first home buyer guarantee allows you to purchase for a 5% deposit. So, as I said before, 600,000, 30 grand, you could probably save that in a year or two if you're living with your parents and you're on the average wage in Australia.
Good answer.
Do first home buyers live in their properties as in terms of short to long term, or do they leave them rented out and go and stay with buddies or parents?
I'm pretty sure the average sale after the first home transaction is around 7 years after. It's like 7.6 years after they've purchased their first home is when they sell, or maybe they purchase another one, or they upgrade, obviously dependent on what their goals and objectives are and what the market does. But it seems that that's the time frame for them to hold on to their first property.
Do they generally, because you're the mortgage broker doing the loans, do you find they end up sort of living in the place, or do they end up just buying that first home and leaving it as a rental investment?
I think I've definitely seen a few more rent investors, so people that are buying like out of area, out of state at the moment. But more traditionally, people have just stayed in there. Like they buy their first home, they live in it, and then 2, 5, 7 years down the track, they've then got these options after they've paid down their mortgage and maybe they've built equity, grown their incomes, have more borrowing capacity. So they might have a bit of a family and they want to upgrade. So it seems to be around that time that they've lived in it and then they leave.
So guys and girls, if you've just tuned in, we're talking to Zac from Shore Financial about first home buyer activity, that it is possible to buy with a $25,000 deposit, and we're throwing short, sharp questions at him, and within one sentence into his answering these. Couple more minutes we've got of this. Billy.
First home buyers using their superannuation to buy property much?
Yeah, and I feel like more people are getting informed about that. The first home super saver scheme, where you can use pre-tax deducted income from your employer up to $50,000 for 3 years, provided it's for the purchase of your first home. You can access that as a deposit. So the benefit there is that. Yeah, very clever. Very clever.
Everyone should be doing that. Everyone. There's no reason why they should be paying tax on the deposit, on the huge tax rates on the deposit amount.
Exactly.
Your question?
It's a real estate question I'm asking a broker. I'll ask this to both of you guys. Can you buy property in DY, a one-bedroom unit, for the ridiculously low price of $500,000?
I think I saw one that was $496,000, one better over near Lismore Ave.
Yeah, there's been 4 transactions under 550 in the last sort of 6 months, and I'd say another couple within 12 months. The problem here is that pre-approvals last for 90 days.
Yep.
First home buyers are looking for a needle in a haystack, but the needle is there, so they need to be ready.
It's there.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah, they need to be ready. Can you just queue a constant, sort of cycle of pre-approval if you sort of struggle to get the...
Yeah, we can extend it. It's just you take a position on, after that 90 days, is their income still the same? Have they still got the same deposit? Is their financial scenario still consistent with the original application? Then we'll just reapply, make sure that it's still the most competitive, and extend them for another 90 days.
And the banks don't look at you and go, "Why didn't you buy? You're weird. 90 days is up, no more."
It's always the question, but as long as their financial scenario is the same or better, then there's no issues with extending the approval.
There you go.
Okay, final question. I'll ask one, you ask one, Billy. My final question is, what is the winning attitude of a first home buyer? And just to expand on that, when you're acting for a first home buyer and you're like, man, you're a legend. How good are you? What does that attitude look like?
I think they're proactive, prompt, and they want to understand the process. Like, it is the first purchase. It's likely their first loan, unless they've had car loans or personal loans or credit cards. So there might be, a bit of interest that they show in what their mortgage is set up to do. What are the features? What does it mean? And I can safely say that every first home buyer I have had has showed that interest in wanting to know the ins and outs in intricate detail of what their capability to buy a home is.
My
Billy, final question.
Do all first home buyers require a 5-day cool off? Can they go unconditional?
Look, once you're pre-approved,
Great question.
you can put your hand up at auctions. You can make offers subject to. It depends on the property, really. Like, if they haven't been able to take a property off the market prior to auction and they go to auction, obviously you buy at auction, it's unconditional.
Yep.
So it's really one of those, it's a risk, but it may not be a risk in terms of the property being subject to valuation for formal finance approval. We're not seeing many valuations come in under, if at all. So generally they meet the contract price, which is what the market might pay for it at auction.
So it's no different to any other buyer.
I always advise my first home buyers to go for the cooling off period, because it's conditionally approved and the conditions are generally subject to valuation. And there might be some other things dependent on their specific scenario that can be addressed, but might take a little bit of time. But the valuation is the key thing. That happens within 48 hours to 5 business days after we're provided a signed contract.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a risk, but it hasn't really, reared its head as, being an issue.
Interesting. There you go. Ladies
and gentlemen, thank you for watching Zac Constantinu. He's at Shore Financial. Look him up. Google him if you want any help with mortgage broking stuff. He's an absolute weapon, him and the team at Shore. Billy has done this first home buyer jiggle that you're talking about. And don't forget that if you don't have the income, you can always pair up with a brother or a sister or a friend and buy something under the first home buyer grant together with someone. Better than half than nothing sometimes. So, Zac, anything else you want to add?
I think it was Billy that told me that it was time in the market, not timing the market. As a bit of a philosophy for when he bought his property.
That's a great saying.
I like. Yeah, it's true, eh? So it's not timing, ing. It's time hyphen time in the actual property market that you own a property. Billy, before we go, anything you want to talk about?
Just quickly, how long is a pre-approval taking?
Depends on the bank. 48 hours to a week.
Pretty quick. There you go.
So good. I've got to tell you, when I talk to mortgage brokers and they say depends, it always really frustrates me. And I was expecting about 50 depends today, and I only got 1 or 2 of them. So you smashed it today, Zac. You smashed it.
Oh, thanks for smashing me with your questions.
Guys, hope this helps you today. Forward it to any friends or family that are first home buyers that it may be able to help. And give us a call because there are properties you want to position yourself to be ready for in DY, one bedrooms, circa 500,000, which means you're only need 25K. And gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon.
Hey, good on you. Thanks, Billy.